Hi, Mark Farmer, Life Success Engine. Happy to be going live this wonderful, Thursday, the 4th. So I'm so happy to have you guys all here. I'm really excited about my guest today. It's going to be Mike Boyle from The Inner Advantage or Relationship Renaissance. I came across this guy while running around the internet. I read one of his profound writings, asked for permission to use it. I'll be talking a little bit about that, but we are going to be talking today about emotional stick points, about how we sometimes get in our own ways, whether that is success or our relationships. I'm super excited to go into this. He and I have been chatting all week. I can't wait. Welcome to Life Success Engine, the engine that drives your life success. Join us for top tips and interviews on life's greatest techniques for success, goal setting, and motivation. Mind, body, spirit, relationships, and wealth. Whether it's running your first marathon, finding the partner of your dreams, or earning your first million, we cover it. Now, here's your host for Life Success Engine, Mark Farmer. Hey, Mark Farmer, Life Success Engine. I'm so happy to have you here. Do me a favor, even before I bring on the guest, would you I'm not sure if it's on this way or this way, subscribe, and ask for notifications of upcoming lives. Coming up, I'm going to be having some additional guests. I've got a hypnotherapist that I'm really jazzed to be bringing on. I'll be doing some lives myself. And so please subscribe. And the other thing that I'll mention really quick is that both Mike and I will be watching the comments. And so would love to see you here. Just give us some energy. If you would drop a comment on any of the streams that you're watching and let us know. Real quick, before I bring Mike in, I would like to bring to your attention that I will be hosting, let's see, bring this up real quick. I will be hosting, there we go. Nope. There, a passive income. Be hosting a passive income webinar coming up on the 17th. That is going to be 7 p.m. If you have a business, if you are interested in passive income, if you have a product that you'd like to sell, I hope that you'll go to Life Success Engine, the website, look in the events and look for the passive income seminar that's coming up and join us on there. So without further ado, let me introduce the man that we're all here to meet and talk with. And this will be Michael Boyle. Hold on, let me get rid of that one. There we go. Mike.
Hey, Mark, what's going on, man?
How's it going, man? I'm so happy to have you here. And so, yes, let me share that I originally ran into your writing off of a group that we both belong to. And that was, there we go. And it was called, what was the title of it?
Something about being, the deepest addiction we all have is to who we were. There you go. Thanks for helping me out.
Yeah. And you went into this, and so it's so rare. And anyone who wants to read the article can go to lifesuccessengine.com. It's listed in one of the top 10 articles that you can read. But so often when people talk about life success, they talk about pushing harder, moving forward, throwing effort at, and moving on.
Yeah.
What struck me as profound about your article was that it talked about going in.
Yeah.
And it talked about how we get in our own way. And in particular, you talk about one of those things that I think is profound, our emotional stick points. And so take it away from there and tell me more from your perspective. I know what the article means to me. Tell me more what you meant by the article.
Sure. Thank you. And by the way, thanks for noticing and reaching out. That was super cool. And exciting for me as someone who likes to write and likes to share these ideas, to have someone reach out, and happy to make a new connection. So happy to be here. So that the essence of that article has to do with one of the things that I like to think about a lot is, which is that life is kind of like ingredients, and there's ingredients to success, there's ingredients to failure, there's ingredients to there's ingredients to being happy, there's ingredients to being depressed. And when we mix these ingredients together over time, for a long period of time, our body actually creates kind of what I would call a neurochemical or a neurobiological stew. And that is hormones and its chemistry and its blood pressure and its muscle tone and its breathing patterns and all these different things that equate to our state of being. Well, when we're in a state of being that is pretty much steady or consistent or at least frequent for a long period of time, our body gets adjusted to that state of being, and we're really good at homeostasis. And when we go to try to change or become new or become better or improve or grow, it actually triggers the alarm system in our brain and says, hey, 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 I've got my system set up to be used to the neurochemical stew. My cells are used to eating the neurochemical stew of anxiety or depression or, poverty or whatever it is. And I don't yet know what that thing, the calmness, the happiness, the wealth that you're trying to create now, my cells don't know what that is. And they actually start to rebel a little bit against that positive change unless we kind of know how to hack around that system. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. I'll mention real quick in case anybody is watching. It seems that our video stream is bogged down a little bit, so stick with the audio, and I'm sure that the video will catch up with us. So yeah, it makes total sense. Would you say that this is similar to self-fulfilling prophecies? Is this repeating patterns to repeat the feelings?
It can look a lot like self, and we're still bumping on the video. Sorry, man. So
Okay.
yeah, it can look a lot like self-fulfilling prophecies. I think that that's actually maybe a common vernacular to explain what I'm saying, but there is a neurochemical basis to it, and there's a way in which it absolutely makes sense if we look under the hood of our nervous system. And that's one of the things that I like to say, well, if this is the thing that we're driving through this life, and if I look under the hood and I learn how to tune it up and refine this and twist that and add oil here, then I can make this thing really rev really well. I can make this engine optimal. I can have optimal performance. And so, common term, one self-fulfilling prophecy, but also another one is this concept that you hear people talk about in terms of self-sabotaging. And so,
Yeah.
self-sabotaging often really is this neurochemical revolt that is saying, hey, 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 get me back to the juice that I'm used to. I'm actually addicted on a cellular level to the neurons and hormones and chemicals and state of being that I've been living in for the last 20 years. And I'm going to go through a sort of withdrawal if you try to make a change on me, even if that change, according to me and my desires, is better. At the body level, my body might freak out a little bit.
And differentiate for me, if you would. Well, look, I just said to a prospective client, I had a meeting with a client, we were talking, and they had all kinds of traumas happening within their life, over and over and over again, trauma.
Mhm.
And part of my offer to the client to work with them was, let's step out of the trauma and just move forward. They kept on saying, let me get through the trauma and then we can move forward. I would like, let's take a step forward, and that will help get you out of the trauma. Comments or thoughts on that?
And yes, understood and agree in theory, and in practice, that can be really hard. And so a whole doses of empathy and kindness and compassion. So ultimately, what you're saying is good advice, but it's also kind of like the reality of what we want with our thinking part of our brain and who we are, what we are on a neurochemical level, can be at odds, and it will take time to actually rewire and repattern those grooves. As much as we might want to move forward, there are, it's pretty actually difficult. So if you think about it this way, the thinking part of the brain where you're saying, oh, I want to just move forward from this, that processes about 40 bits of data per second.
Okay.
The part of the brain where the trauma is stored processes about 40,000 bits of data per second. So the order of magnitude of power is absolutely not comparable. And so if we do not have ways and tools and methods to get into that deeper part of the brain and make changes down there, then, and this is what we were talking about earlier before we got online, then we end up with what I call icing on a shit cake. We just try to think positive thoughts or wish it to be better or make a better plan, but we haven't changed at the level of neurochemistry that enables us to actually embody that new change or those new attitudes or those new lifestyles or those new desires. And this is kind of why the law of attraction stuff doesn't, there's something to it, but it doesn't usually work unless people really know how to consistently do the deeper work to rewire that part of the brain.
So your recommendation is what to work on, and absolutely part of my recent learning talks about literally wearing a neural groove in your brain from repetitious thoughts, repetitious feelings. I think that was part of what caught my attention regarding your article. And is it correct that sometimes, although that doesn't make us happy, that is comfortable?
It's comfortable. And so think of it this way. And of course, I'm personifying something that isn't necessarily like, it doesn't, but just play with the analogy with me for a second. Yep. If you could posit that the brain's priority by evolutionary design is to survive. Okay.
Yes.
And that is the default priority mode. And it doesn't really care on that level about happiness, about success, about wealth. It just wants to live and procreate. That's kind of like the basic default mode. And so that mechanism, which is extremely powerful, millions of years of evolution, says basically anything that I have already survived. So if I am alive right now, everything that is past is safe. Oh. Because I've already survived it. And anything that is new or different or future, according to that brain, is dangerous.
Wow.
Therefore, it'll actually throw up an alarm in the face of that unknown or that change. And so I talk sometimes, and this is something that a mentor said to me, is like, you have to learn how to sneak around the alarm system. You actually have to learn how to change in a way that is progressive but subtle enough that your system does not revolt against that change. And so there's no real getting around the fact, and this is one of the reasons why I don't have like 10 million viewers, is because I tell the truth. Instead of selling people fantasies, there's no real getting around the fact that you actually have to do consistent amount of dedicated work over time with perseverance in order to actually change.
That probably doesn't have immediate payoffs. I mean, that's the other thing that we see in today's society so often is that people want to buy something and it changes.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining that people have to practice this or go through this, and you don't get a big payoff right away.
No, sometimes the opposite. Sometimes it's like when a cut is going to heal, it dispels pus. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we go to heal and we go to thrive and we go to become new, bigger, better, then actually all of the obstacles or reasons why we are not currently that way come up to the surface in order to be healed. And they come up in order to be let go. They come up in order to be transformed. And now where people tend to go where things tend to go wrong for people, and this is now swinging the pendulum towards some of the things that I can say in a critical way about therapy culture, is that we get stuck on the stories about why we are suffering when those obstacles come up, and then we exacerbate the suffering more. Instead of consistently focusing on that solution, we get stuck focusing on the problem and trying to fix the problem. And from a neuroscience perspective of sprouting and pruning, that actually just doesn't work. It's ineffective. So there's a really fine line, because we say, you have to focus on solutions works better than fixing problems. But at the same time, we can't do this denial kind of gaslighting thing where we pretend that the problems aren't real or aren't valid or aren't challenging or aren't difficult. There's a balance between indulging in the victim story
Yeah.
and then being in denial of it and just saying, oh, everything's fine, and just move forward and create solutions. There's
There's
actually a middle path there.
There's significant, oh, my whole camera. There's significant research or theory regarding the fact that what depression and some of our mental illnesses of modern society come in because of the narrative, because of our ability to form language and that we form this. Is that correct?
Sure. You know, there's the genetic argument, there's the nature versus nurture argument, and really, it's no longer an argument. We know it's both. It's both what we're born with, and it's also the environment that we're born in. Our 0 to 7 is super formative.
So if we are repeating patterns because of, in essence, neurochemical addictions, we're so used to those going through us. Two questions.
Yeah.
How do we notice that that's going on? What are the symptoms, or how would we know? You know, I mean, somebody might be listening and thinking, yeah, all right, Mike, gosh, you're full of shit. Like, what are you talking about? I don't have enough money. I know I just need to change that. My mom and dad were assholes. I just need to separate from mom and dad. My husband is just being a jerk. I just need him to pick it up. How are we going to notice that maybe the neurochemistry that you're talking about is going on? And then in particular, I'm curious that you've offered some suggestions that you can actually begin changing that in tangible ways.
So awesome. Nothing's sacred but results. So the way we know,
Amen.
the way we know is how's our life working.
Right.
And if what we're doing is effective and working, we're gonna, and I tend to focus on some specific virtues, because here's another saying that you'll hear me say a lot, is what you focus on grows, for better or for worse.
Absolutely.
And so if I focus on specific virtues, I'm going to grow the neural networks, and I'm going to grow the priming, the element of my brain that is responsible for priming this, you know, the reticular activating.
Wait, you're gonna have to break that down, dude. You've jumped into lingo, and so we got a bunch of people and who have a savvy audience, but neurochemistry and you know, so break it down.
Let me give you a very easy lesson in priming. Okay, so look around the room, and audience members, please look around the room. You don't know what you're looking for. You're just looking around. And now color white. And now you're looking around the room and you're seeing white that you weren't seeing 3 seconds ago. Now look and see something orange or a circle, or, you know, and now you're seeing a circle. Now, so that's called priming. And we're being primed all the time. Now the human being superpower is to prime ourselves. And so the default mode of our priming is usually based on our past and is based on this survival mechanisms that I'm talking about. And that has what is called a built-in negativity bias. And so it actually is, we are designed to assume that the rope is a snake. That's in our evolutionary design. So actually what you notice around is, like, look around. How many people do you know that are really, truly, radiantly healthy and happy? Real question. How many people?
How that I know that are absolutely happy.
Absolutely super happy and super healthy and super well adjusted.
But the funny thing is, I always hit on the difference between perception and reality. If you ask, I know a whole bunch of people would say, oh, I'm incredible, everything's wonderful. And then you listen to them and they're not happy. And I don't know anyone whose life is in a great, perfect shape.
Right. Not perfect. Again, I'm not saying life is without problems. I'm saying that they're just grounded, wholesome, healthy, well-adjusted, happy, truly content human beings. I know less than 5.
Yeah, I'll guarantee that I know less than 5.
I know less than 5 of those people. And it doesn't mean that their life is without obstacle. I'm not saying that. But so that's how you know whether or not it's working. If what you're doing is working, you should be becoming more joyful, open, loving, kind, and aware. And if you're not, it's not working. Because these are actually the qualities of a human being that has what I call upgraded their nervous system from survival mode to thriving mode, is inherently those virtuous qualities come forward regardless of life circumstances. Now, their life circumstances often improve and change for the better too, but even in the face of difficulty, they are still able to stay open, loving, kind, and aware. And so if you are, so when you hear people, what you're going to hear most of the time is people will fall into the cultural trance of criticizing, condemning, and complaining. They're complaining, they're complaining, they're complaining, they're criticizing, they're criticizing, they're criticizing, they're condemning, they're condemning, they're condemning. And they're living life through the fuel of survival fuel, which is fight, flight, or freeze, anger,
Yes.
fear, and depression.
Yeah.
And that 90% of that, you hear people say, well, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, how are you doing? Oh, I'm really stressed out. Oh, there's not enough hours in the day. Oh, just trying to get by. Oh, I'm just grinding it out. All this language saying that they're not really actually in a state of flow, in a state of joy, in a state of, freedom, in a state of kind of wonder about life. And, so those people are few and far between. However, that's actually natural for us as human beings if we know how to upgrade our brain from survival mode to thriving mode.
And so you said that you have some specific techniques that actually begin doing that. Can you offer us one? Help me wrap my head around it.
I mean, sure, they're not, it's also, I mean, it's not some of the work, it's not magic. It's a habit.
Sounds like magic, man.
No, a habit is, so here's a good definition of a habit. A habit is anything you do with enough frequency, intensity, and duration that it becomes easy and automatic. So if you think, oh, I'm anxious, oh shit, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then you feel in your body, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then you have images in your mind, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And you do that with enough frequency, intensity, and duration, it's going to become easy and automatic. You're just going to wake up anxious. You don't have to try to be anxious. You're just going to be anxious. And people will even say, I am anxious. Their identity is now tied to I am anxious. So to upgrade that is to do the recipe of calmness, just to use that example, with enough frequency, intensity, and duration that calmness becomes easy and automatic. Really, everything is habituated. So let me give you one quick and easy tool. Please. Because I know I've thrown a lot of jargon and I've thrown a lot of concepts. So I've said the survival mode and the thriving mode. You don't need to know this. There's not going to be a test, but the survival mode is basically when the sympathetic nervous system is dominant. And the thriving mode is basically when the parasympathetic nervous system is more at play and more dominant. And so every time we breathe in, we activate the sympathetic nervous system. Every single time we breathe out, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So then by logic, if we extend the length of our exhale, we will activate the parasympathetic nervous system more and become more parasympathetic nervous system dominant, PNS dominant. And that will turn off the alarm switch of that fight, flight, or freeze survival mode, and it'll turn on the thriving mode. So this exercise I teach all my clients, it's one of the first things I teach them, is called fog breath. And we breathe in and then so I'm making this sound like I'm fogging a glass that I'm going to clean. Mm-hmm. What that accomplishes is a couple things that we can't get into all of them, but the main thing that it accomplishes is that my ratio of inhale to exhale is about 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. And if I do that, maybe 10 times in a row, I'm going to trigger the yawn response probably. And that's going to tell my animal, that's going to be basically, there's no animal in wild that's going to yawn if it's in danger. That's pretty good sign that you've actually turned off your alarm switch and you're in a relaxed state. Because the fact of the matter is we have this animal evolutionary parts of ourselves and we have to respect it and we can learn how to use it to our advantage.
So people are going to be saying, or I would expect the devil's advocate to say, look, I've got shit going wrong in my life. There's COVID going on. I'm tired of this. I'm worried about my job. My wife and I had a huge argument. where does it, the impulse is focus almost on the victim story, focus on the problem.
Yeah.
You said earlier that that's
Yeah.
not
What you
go.
focus on grows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a principle in neuroscience called sprouting and pruning. And so whatever you focus on is going to sprout more neural connections.
So
And
do I just ignore these problems?
well, that's a really good question. It depends. Is
Oh,
it is it head in the sand, denial? I don't want to think about this. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to touch this. Or is it, okay, I feel this. This is what's going on, and I'm going to pivot towards what I value and choose to create more of? That is the fine line, and that's kind of the alchemy work, is to say, because guess what? Real change happens when we think, feel, and act differently today than we did to the same stimulus yesterday.
and I think part of what you're saying also, or part of what I found valuable in what you were saying, is that when we come from it from a more relaxed, in control perspective, when we have activated the parts of ourselves that calmed ourselves down, that we've become more effective in life. That it's not just
Absolutely.
go. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to, I want to say something to that, because that's the thing is, and so people will say, but what do you mean I should be stressed out about this situation? And I say, well, actually, if you look at it, what that survival mode, what that fight, flight, or freeze is for, it's for if a tiger's eating my throat and I need to get away. That's what it's for. It's not for, oh shit, I need to pay my mortgage next month. The solutions that are required for that problem actually are in the thriving mode. So we are going to be better at solving the real problems in our life if we do the work to get out of survival mode and into thriving mode. But most people will stay stuck in survival mode and think that they need to really be stressed or pressured, or, oh no, I got to do it. And that actually is counterproductive to what the nature of the actual problem is.
Interesting. Right on. And so we're working for this to become just a new habit so that you can get into a good place and be more effective in your life and get it out of the way. I was almost going to say, well, how long do you have to do this before it's good? But it's a habit we're looking for. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's various kind of research. It depends on how all in you go to the work, but for me, the work is ongoing, and it's forever. And I just embrace that and say life is constantly throwing obstacles at me. And I look at those as a challenge and as an opportunity instead of as an overwhelming threat. And I've had plenty of time in my life where I've been very overwhelmed, and I've had a history of severe depression and anxiety and trauma, which is what brought me to all of this work. I've had a history of major head injuries, which exacerbated the depression and the anxiety, and all of that brought me to this work. So I'm not unaware, and a lot of the work that I've done has been with, like, I've done a lot of work with combat veterans with PTSD, and so I was like, we've put this stuff to the test in real situations, not just like, oh, I stubbed my toe. And so the fact of the matter is that you can do the work to heal and thrive, and depending on the degree or the nature of the trauma or the difficulty is depending on the time and depending on your ability to grab hold of the tools and to run with them and to really embrace them. So I can't give you a black or white answer, but I do know that the work is workable, that the work works if you work it, and that I've been able to personally, overcome lots of things. Doesn't mean that I don't still have obstacles to face in my life. Of course I do. And so, and a lot of the people that I work with have also overcome these things. And, and so one of the things that, is amazing about the surviving, thriving mode is the way it affects our perception of how we interact with others. If I'm in the survival mode, I actually perceive attack and defense everywhere around me, even in the people that we love. And this can actually really end up deteriorating our relationships. So you can also even learn these tools within the context of a relationship and learn how to create new chemistry of love and trust and with your partners in a way that you get not only your individual self, but your relationship selves into the thriving mode and into this kind of more open, loving, joyful place. So there's, one of my sayings is we can do more than talk about it, that there's very practical things that we can do over time that will work if we do them.
I love that. And on the note of relationships, because that's one of the places that you had brought up
Mhm.
that these sorts of techniques begin.
Yeah.
You actually have a relationship series coming up. Um, the Relating Renaissance, is that correct?
Yeah, so the Relating Renaissance is the name of the program, and I'm doing a workshop next Wednesday. And I wanted to bring this up, and I know that I kind of just did a shameless segue into this, but I wanted to bring it up actually because some of the listeners that I invited to listen to this are psyched to get a discount code, and that is discount code for the workshop that's next Wednesday and Thursday evening is friendly40, capital F, friendly, the numbers 40, friendly40, and that will get you $40 off of the workshop price.
I love it.
So that is for Mark and your listeners,
Love that.
and hopefully, so basically, this is going to be a distillation because the holiday time can be really stressful for
Can be
couples.
hugely stressful. You and I were talking yesterday that everyone comes into the holidays thinking, oh, we have this Norman Rockwell idea that it's going to be perfection. We'll be sitting
Right?
around the turkey and it
Yeah,
will be all wonderful. And the truth of it is we're all already under pressure from COVID. We're already
totally,
under pressure from regular life.
totally.
And then all of a sudden we're thrown together, rushing and pushing, trying for perfection. And
Yep.
then the stress comes out.
Yep. So buying gifts, and there's crunch time, and there's traveling, and there's cultural issues and family issues, all sorts of things, right? And so normally my program is 3 months, and I was like, well, it's not realistic. People are not going to do a 3-month program right now, either for the time investment or the cost investment. But how can we give people an injection of some really practical tools? So I kind of boiled it down to 4 hours. And you can tell from this presentation that I pack a lot into 30 minutes. So the 4 hours is also going to come with an online course. So all the replays and all the videos of the tools and all the PDFs and everything are going to be packaged into an online course that you get. So even if you can't make it live, you can still catch it all and also digest at your own pace. Or maybe one partner can make it and the other partner can't. A lot of times people have to re-listen to some of the things that I do because there's a lot in there. And I, I'm not going to apologize for being who I am. I've studied this stuff for 25 years. I'm super passionate about it. So I over deliver. And so that's happening next Wednesday and Thursday night. One of the things I really like about it is while there's tons of heart and vulnerability. I share a lot of my personal struggles with both marriage and my own personal struggles with mental health. There's also an approach that frankly the stereotypical guy can relate to, because a lot of what's out there in couples counseling and self-help work is stuff that guys really resist. And I like to be able to speak to those guys because I am those guys. I grew up playing sports, and I'm just a regular dude, and I never ever would have thought I would have been a relationship coach. Most of my friends that I grew up with probably make fun of me because of it. But in any event, here we are, and it's a beautiful thing.
That's funny. So, and who are the perfect couples for this? So, this is a couples workshop. Ideally, both people are participating. This is offered virtually, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be offered virtually. It's offered via Zoom, and like I said, all the online course and replays come with it. So, plenty of couples are just one can make it, and the other one's going to catch it live.
How long does it last?
It's Wednesday and Thursday evening for 2 hours each evening.
So 4-hour commitment.
Total of 4 hours. And actually plenty of single people join it, because a lot of single people are like, I want to know what the F keeps happening in my relationships and how do I make the next one good? So it's actually couples, singles, one of the couples, both of the couples, anyone's welcome. It'll be relevant and practical. Practical is it could be a middle name for me.
And is this something that people appear on screen? Is it just you, or do I have to come in on the Zoom call? Are people going to see me?
People don't have to come in on the Zoom call. People are welcome to come in on the Zoom call and ask questions, because that's the one perk of the live course versus the catching it on the replay side of it, is that you get to ask questions and say, hey man, how does this work in my life? Like, I understand that theory, but this is what's going on for me. And so we'll do some troubleshooting right then and there for people that want to share that way, and people that don't feel comfortable. That's not, of course, not necessary.
Awesome, man. If people want more information, then they can find you where and find information about it where?
Well, you got it right here, man.
Woohoo!
Altogether.love/happy relating hyphen happy holidays. You
Right
can
on.
email me directly at mike@altogether.love. You can find me on Facebook, Michael Boyle. Just look me up, friend me. I think it's my Facebook name is Altogether Loving or something like that, but you'll find me.
And we can stick it up afterwards in the comments. We've had a few people adding in comments, and so we
Cool.
can add in additional resources from this. In particular, I would love, we can post for anyone listening that I'd love to post some more information about. I'd like a link to the web, to the article that I originally found you. If you have any additional content talking about the neurochemistry and some exercises, I don't know if you've written up any of those articles, would love to. And we'll get a direct link to
Cool.
your relationship.
Hey,
Yeah.
and another thing that I hope people take advantage of during COVID times, I was like, oh my gosh, mental health is going to be a major problem. And a lot of people don't have access to good resources. So my Facebook group is actually an Ask Me All forum. You can ask me anything you want. And of course, it's not therapy and we got to do all the disclaimers and it's not formal treatment or any of that stuff. But I do come to this all with a heart of service. I've suffered a lot and I want to contribute to the world's lessening suffering. So so there's an Ask Me All forum in my private Facebook group that that anyone can get on there and ask a question, and I'll either answer back in type or I will do a live about it. And so I think it's a resource that totally free, no strings attached. I think it's a resource that I'd love for people to take advantage of.
Love it, man. Thank you so much for making your time available. Thanks for everything that you have shared. I really appreciate you being here. Look forward to getting your information up so other people can find it. And yeah, right on, man.
Shoot me an email about what you want specifically for me again, in case I don't remember what you just said.
Cool. Right on.
Some links.
Right on, man. I'll talk with you later. And thank you, everyone. Again, remember to like and share, subscribe to this. This is Mark Farmer, Life Success Engine. I look forward to seeing you in the future.